In May 2012, Minecraft came to the Xbox 360 with Minecraft Xbox 360 Edition. In all these years and countless updates later, how does the newer version of Minecraft on Series X compare to the old when it comes to attention to detail? Now, the very first thing I noticed on 360 Edition is they don't want you to forget, Minecon 2011, that was a banger. So the first difference I noticed when booting up the 360 edition of Minecraft is that it takes over 1.5 minutes of loading to create a new world, whereas on Series X it only takes about 10 seconds. But once gameplay begins, things get a bit more interesting, as the 360 edition of Minecraft only runs at 60 frames per second, and the render distance is much shorter than what we see on the Series X version of Minecraft, meaning whenever you're flying through the world is rendering much closer to the player in big, jagged, blocky sections. Whereas on Series X, Minecraft runs at 120 frames per second, and the landscape is being rendered much further away from the player, so it doesn't load it in big, jaggy sections, but smoothly rolls out the landscape ahead of you. The very next difference that I noticed is that the sound that they use in the 360 edition of Minecraft for things like gathering wood and stone is completely different than the sounds they use in the Series X version of Minecraft, which in my opinion is a bit more of a clean sound that's also a bit more quiet. Now here's a side-by-side of gathering stone, and if you listen carefully you can hear the difference. Moving on to the next comparison, which is actually something I did not know until I recorded this video, but in the 360 edition of Minecraft, whenever you're mining, your character can reach and mine 5 blocks. Whereas on the newer versions of Minecraft, you can actually mine out 6 blocks ahead of you, giving you an extra block of reach when compared to the 360 edition. And speaking of mining, another thing that's changed over the years is that whenever you're mining something like iron in the 360 edition of Minecraft, whenever you break the block, it just turns into a smaller version of the full-sized iron block when you pick it up. Whereas in the newer versions of Minecraft, not only do the iron deposits themselves look differently, but whenever you break them, they clearly resemble pieces of iron ore, which is a neat little change. Moving on now to some of the differences between the mobs between the two games, beginning with the Creeper, which looks pretty much identical between both versions of the game, but I did notice that the sound of the Creeper exploding is completely different between the two versions. Zombie went for a ride. But at the end of the day, old or new, I hate them both. Moving on now to a comparison of the zombies, which in the 360 edition only came in one variant other than the infected villager and the husk, and their pathfinding was pretty poor, causing them to constantly turn on their way to get to you. While in the newer versions of Minecraft, there's much more zombie variation, from different kinds of infected villagers to different zombies that spawn in different biomes. Not to mention zombies can equip different kinds of weapons and armor. The zombies in the newer versions of Minecraft also have better pathfinding, making them beeline straight at you, making them feel more aggressive than what we saw in the 360 edition. Moving on now to a comparison of the skeletons and the strays between the two games, I did notice that whenever you actually hit a skeleton, it makes a different sound in the 360 edition versus the newer versions of Minecraft. But one thing I find really interesting is that whenever a skeleton shoots you with an arrow in the 360 edition, you can actually see the arrow sticking into your character, which is pretty sweet. Whereas in the newer versions of Minecraft, you can't see the arrow sticking into the environment around you, but whenever they hit you, you can't actually see the arrow sticking into your character, which is a weird thing to remove. Another major difference that I noticed between the two versions of the game is actually how each game handles darkness, because in the 360 edition of the game, darkness is dark. I mean, it's pitch black outside when the sun is down. And for example, look how long it takes for me to be able to see this zombie that's right in front of me. It was pretty much invisible until it came into the light of my torch. And this is even noticeable during the day. As you can see by the shade of these trees, it's much darker in the 360 edition than what we see in future versions of Minecraft. While in the Series X version of Minecraft, darkness isn't pitch black as it was in the 360 edition, and even though it does get pretty dark, I can still see whenever I'm walking at night without a torch. What the hell was that? And speaking of darkness, one of my favorite differences between these two versions of Minecraft is actually how the two games handle underground caves and caverns. As you can see here in the 360 version of Minecraft, caves for the most part are just kind of narrow corridors with constant dead ends, and you're lucky if they open up into anything worth exploring. While in the newer versions of Minecraft, caves have seen huge updates that make them feel like huge sprawling underground caverns that are worth your time to explore. I mean, look how awesome this place looks. Oh, there's a mineshaft. Moving on now to a comparison of the villages between the two versions of the game, and honestly, I do like the 360 edition villages, but honestly, they are kind of a jumbled mess. I mean, you're lucky to get a cohesive path that goes through the village. For example, this guy would love to leave his house, but Dummy put his house on the edge of a cliff. And speaking of the villagers in the 360 edition are pretty bare bones. I mean, you do have the different villagers that have the different occupations, but for the most part, you get this basic villager with his brown clothes that appears in pretty much every village. Now, in the newer versions of Minecraft, it's a completely different story. As you can see by this village, it has a clear layout and a sense of flow. The streets are usually connected to homes and businesses, and there's an awesome iron golem patrolling the streets, keeping the villagers safe. But my favorite change is depending on which biome the village is in, the villagers will have different cosmetic looks, which is awesome. Not to mention they have cute little villager kids running around. Another interesting detail is that in the 360 edition, if you're in the snow biome, even when it snows, the snow for the most part stays relatively flat and doesn't ever really gain depth. Whereas in the newer versions of Minecraft, if you spend enough time in the snow biome, especially once it starts snowing, you'll actually see that the snow is beginning to accumulate. Little piles of snow will start to accumulate at different depths, making the snow biome feel much more natural. And if you build your home here, you can actually get snowed in and have to dig your way out, which is pretty cool. Another interesting difference that I noticed is actually how you eat and heal between the two versions of the game. If you look at the 360 edition, whenever I eat this pork chop, look how quickly it fills my hunger and then immediately starts to heal my character. Whereas in the newer versions of Minecraft, whenever you fill your hunger bar all the way, your health will slowly start to replenish, and it's not nearly as fast as what we saw in the 360 edition. Which leads us to another huge difference, which is actually how the games handle crafting, and honestly, I think I might prefer the way crafting works in the 360 edition. It's laid out from left to right, and honestly, I feel like it's a bit more simplistic and easier to find the things I want to craft. Whereas in the newer versions of Minecraft, like on Series X, I feel like they've added so many new craftable items into the game, which is a good thing, but it makes the menus feel so convoluted and jam-packed with craftable items that I can't really find the things that I'm looking for when I want to craft them, leading me to have to type what I'm searching for in the search bar, which is kind of a pain. Which leads us to my final comparison in today's video, which I did notice that the TNT sound effect on the 360 edition is different than what we see in the newer versions of Minecraft, so I wanted to compare it, but honestly, I just wanted to see some TNT explosions, so here you go. See, I told you they were different. Well guys, you made it to the end. Thank you for watching this direct comparison of Minecraft Xbox 360 edition versus Minecraft as it is today on Xbox Series X. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it for you guys. This was actually my first Minecraft video I've ever made on this channel, and it was a ton of fun to make. And I had enough notes here in my notebook that I could have easily made a part 2, or I could make a part 2. We didn't touch any of the ocean or the nether or anything like that. Tons of updates to the newer versions of Minecraft that are just that I just couldn't fit into this video. But either way guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on it and let me know down in the comments, do you want to see a part 2? Because as I said, I have plenty of notes. I just smacked myself in the eye with my notebook. But either way guys, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it for you guys. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Live from My Basement, where I make new videos like the one you're watching right now every single week. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future content, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.